Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Dave Emmons Strange Reality Show. And going to throw you a little morsel of something different today. We get into ghosts sometimes on the show, and that's part of the package deal on some of these shows that we get into ghosts a little bit. I talk about ghosts in my book. It's Angels and Supernatural Entities, and that was released about a month ago. And I get a little bit into the ghosts and spirits in that book. And so the ghost sisters won't have anything to worry about. I know a little bit about this topic. And then what do they want? That's my ET book from that's my first book. Got three books actually, but I'm going to republish the war book, and then I'm working on a sci-fi book in which is ET and human relationship. It's kind of like what the book is out now about freedom. It's got the same baseline to it. But I've got three interesting guests. I saw them on Facebook, and they kind of excited me because they're sisters, and I was with an all brother band all my life, and I know that the sisters, I'm fascinated by family groups and this type of thing, and but I'm going to be talking to them, and I know that a lot of you pay attention to them on Facebook. They're boots on the ground type of people. They go out and investigate. They just don't read from books or research. They go out there and they find out what's going on. We're going to have them tell us about some of their exciting stories. Mandy Cummings, Metzger Cummings, of course, she's the lead investigator for Ghost Sisters, and she's a former corrections officer. So you got to be tough to be a ghost hunter. So, 8 years, and you've been an intuitive medium and a paranormal investigator for 6 years. Chastity, which is with us too, on the top left of the screen. Leonard Chastity Leonard is also a paranormal investigator for 6 years with Ghost Sisters. She runs a home-based business at home when she's not investigating. Bobby Joe Metzger is the skeptic on the team, and she's not here, so she's not going to be able to give you any crap, right? So she has been on the team now for 3 years. When she's not investigating, she is a full-time team leader in a manufacturing company. All three of us ladies are biological sisters, and that's what I was just mentioning a while ago, and I find that really great. We have all been dealing with paranormal since we were kids. The paranormal is our passion. So when you talk about dealing with paranormal as a kid, you grew up in a house that was haunted. Is that what we're thinking about? Which one of you want to lead off? Mandy, I guess you're the lead investigator. You want to explain, or you want to explain a little bit about the opening too, a little bit more about what you're doing and why you got where you're at, all three of you.
Okay, so I started Ghost Sisters. It will be 6 years ago in October 2017. I started it because, ever since I was young, I was having weird things going on around me. When I was like 9 and 10, I started noticing things. We had a brother who had passed away at 15, and after he passed away, that's when I started really experiencing things in the house that we grew up in. And I would hear someone walking around in his room because after he had passed away, my mother had moved and my father and her had separated. So I stayed with my father, and I ended up moving into my brother's room. And you would hear someone walking around. I would listen to the radio, and it would be somebody would be turning it up and down. So that was a little freaky for me. But I always felt like somebody was watching me, and it was probably him, which later on I did find out it was him. But everywhere I've ever lived growing up, I had some type of experience that I was dealing with.
So
So,
you
and
think they were kind of hijacking you and going along with you wherever you went, basically?
I think so, or just there was always something wherever I lived, there was something there, and they were drawn to me for probably because I'm a medium, and at the time being younger, I didn't realize what was going on.
Yeah, you're a
So
receiver. You receive.
yes,
I got a sister the same way, that she receives a lot of this information and can see ghosts. I see ETs, and sometimes I don't know if they're ghosts or ETs that are messing with my house or inside. I have paranormal events happen to me all the time. So little things that happen to me, but I always look at the ETs, and I tell sometimes the scientists that, and they say, well, don't just think about ETs that's doing this paranormal stuff. There's some spiritual things going on, and there's the dimensional things going on. And I guess Chastity, You have a few things you want to say what brought you with your sisters and how you got involved with your sisters before. I know you got to run pretty quick. You got a business meeting, so go ahead and let us know how you feel about this.
Yeah, well, I didn't even know you can even ghost hunt or do any of that stuff until Mandy one day called me up and say, I'm going to Mansfield Prison to paranormal investigate. And I'm like, what? What is that? I didn't even know that was even possible. She's like, I want you to go with me. I can't get somebody else was supposed to go with her and they had canceled on her. So she asked me to go. Well, why not? So I went with her and it was pretty interesting. And next couple days later, she texts and calls me up and says, well, I decided to start my own team and you're on it. So I'm like, oh, okay. And it just pretty much went from there.
So you've had some experiences too, in which keeps you going. And I know that whenever you're researching something or investigating something, you got to find something to keep you going. It makes you more hungry to find out the secrets of things and get some stuff on photograph or on record or whatever. I guess that's what all three of you. Now you've had an experience too. I guess Chris Chastity, you had an experience.
Not as much as Mandy, just little minor things here and there. Just nothing like Mandy has. Mandy, they love Mandy.
Okay. Right. Well, she's a good team leader.
I have a
What
blog
about,
some reason.
yeah. What about Bobby Joe? She's a skeptic. Does she keep you hopping?
Yeah, Bobby, and it's good because she helps us debunk things. Like if we're hearing a noise and we don't know what it is, she might say, "Oh, that's coming from this pipe," or she's more skeptic, so she's gonna dig into it more. And we always try to debunk something once we hear something that we can't explain anyway, even if she was with us or not, we're going to try to debunk it. But there's sounds that she would know that we might not realize what it is, and she knows. So it's good to have her, because she's also kind of like a mechanic too. Yeah. So
yeah, she's a person that grounds you. I mean, guess who's my grounding source? It's my wife. She actually will tell me what she thinks about certain things that happen to me. She said it could be this, could be that. And she's an academic, and she's also, a fundamentalist in religion. But she gets into things, and she'll look at things in a different, perspective than I do. Of course, when you've been burnt, or when you've seen ghosts, or when you've seen ETs and you've seen UFOs, the first thing you think about, okay, here they go again. But that's not always true. Sometimes there's answers for what you see and what happens to you. And so having a person, that's why I research thing. I look at pictures over and over and over, and I try to figure out, okay, what is the truth? Am I overreacting? Am I trigger happy about this subject, this topic that's got me so enthralled and everything? So is that where you get that from? I mean, you got your sister that's Bobby Joe, that's the grounder for you. So that's great. It's good. Does she ever agree with you though? Does she ever say that they're real?
She's had some experiences herself, but she still questions what she's experienced.
Okay.
She's an empath too. She's an empath. She's not like Mandy, but she can feel stuff.
Yeah. She's really sensitive.
Okay.
But I was told yesterday, I don't know how true it is, that I was a witch back in my past lifetime. So I don't know how true it is. I'm like, what? That's new. Yeah. You get me mixed up with my sister Mandy. No, it was you.
Yeah, there's a scientific basis for past lives. Let me give it to you what I've learned from a lot of scientists. And when you brought the past life thing up, that's kind of triggers what I found out. They say that 80% of our DNA, the scientists, they have been saying that for years, is a waste. We don't even use it. It's just something we don't use, and we only use 20% of our DNA for us being a person we are. That's not really true. They say that 80% of the DNA, it's their recorded history. They can go back and actually, once they get to starting to read DNA, and we can a little bit, the frequencies, but we can't go back. And like past lives, that you just mentioned, those past lives are in that 80% of junk DNA, that if we find a way to read it, we can find it. So yeah, so it brings a lot of light on ghost and spiritual and dimensional phenomena. I'd like to know, okay, where do you guys work out of, and what locations do you go to?
Well, we're from Ohio, and we go to wherever. We go all over the states. But if we're going to do a residential case, we try to keep it here in Ohio, close to us, because it's just, if we were to go to all these residential cases all over the states, we would really be like investigating like every day.
No.
So we try to keep it, around us. But if we go to these other locations like businesses, or, to investigate a building or a paid place, we will travel far. And I know that probably don't make sense, but we don't do that. Well, we do it a lot, but not as often as we would for a residential case, because a lot of people contact us to investigate residential cases, but I have to tell them that we will only, stay in Ohio.
Right. You all have jobs and you have kids, so that's kind of hard to go travel and put boots on the ground in a location, right?
Well, not for me. My children are grown up and they're out. So I retired 2 years ago from law enforcement I have been doing this full time, even when I was still working in law enforcement. So it didn't stop me.
Okay.
But now I'm retired from that. So I have been full time doing this. So I can go during the week. Nothing holds me back. I do my mediumship full time. So it works out good for me.
Me
Now,
too.
yeah, you guys were on
Yeah.
a TV show. Can you talk about that, Chastity? We'll go to you for a little bit. You did a TV show? Is that what
No,
you're
Mandy did a TV show.
Mandy? Okay.
I was just saying that I'm flexible too. I can work my own hours. That's why I like my home-based business. I got my own office. I can come and go when I want and work my own hours. I don't got to answer to nobody.
Well, that's great. From the looks of it, with the letters back there and your posters, it looks like you're in a big corporation. You're doing a good job being home business. Yeah. Wow.
No, thank you. We deal with services that people and businesses need to pay every day, so it's global.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Now I'd like to know about the sister that's not here. A little bit about her. Is she? Are you all the same age or whatever?
It goes me, Mandy, then Bobby Joe.
Okay. Okay, so Bobby Joe, being the skeptic, she's not here now, so we can get a good argument going on. But I'd like to start off. You said something, Mandy, about how you got started, and you saw, you had these things happen to you as a little kid. And I guess, Chastity, you too. You had some experience that really brought you into this ghost thing. Could I ask you what was the most terrifying, scary thing? I want to go to each one of you. Mandy, what was the most terrifying thing that you've seen?
Well, Dave, not to interrupt you, but did you want me to talk about the Ghost Brothers real quick?
Yeah, right.
You totally, Chastity was on there for like 3 seconds just in the video. But yeah, I was on the Ghost Brothers because, like Chastity said, before I started up the team, we had actually went to Mansfield Prison Reformatory here in Ohio.
Right.
And we did an investigation, and I was still working in law enforcement at the time. Well, we were down in solitary, and I had a GoPro on and the lights were on, and I kept hearing a man talking to me. And little did I know, I didn't see him at the time, I was hearing him. And we captured what we believe was the guard Frank that was killed down in solitary. At the end of the hallway, you could see someone walking just like a guard.
Mm-hmm.
And back and forth. And also in the middle of the aisle, there was a shadow figure, an outlining of a man standing there. So I ended up saving that evidence. And before I even started the team, and something told me, save this evidence. And I saved it. And then next thing I know, I'm being featured on the Ghost Brothers. So that was just last year in October.
Oh, that's great. I know that mentioned here in your notes that you're on a TV show, but I didn't know exactly which one. The Ghost Brothers are.
Ghost Brothers Lights Out season 2.
Yeah, they run a good show, I guess. How long took you? Said season 2 now?
They were on for like 4 years, 5 years.
Yeah,
but this was Ghost Brothers Lights Out season 2, The Shank, episode 1.
Okay, now the shadow figures, most people see those, and I've been watching some of these on channel 64 for me on on Spectrum. It's there's history, and then there's science channel and travel channel, and I see a lot of these ghost figures or shadow figures. Could you two tell me what those shadow figures you think are? What are they?
Well, I'll tell you, I think they're well, it could be something that's non-human, or it could be something that doesn't have enough energy to manifest and show its true form.
Yeah, it's got to be something that's blocking the light, causing a shadow. That's for sure. Chastity, what do you think? You've seen these shadow figures?
Yeah, I think they're crazy. It's just, especially that one with the prison she's talking about. That was pretty wild seeing that in the background like that.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with the walk, you could tell clearly it was a security guard, just the way it was walking.
Wow. Yeah.
And
Have you seen like apparitions that are lit
I
up?
haven't seen it personally. We've seen it on the cameras,
I
but
see.
I haven't seen it personally.
Yeah, a lot of times they don't catch it on camera. It's just like me. I don't catch a lot of things on camera either. My trail cam infrared picks up things. So that's how I catch things on infrared. And I guess you girls have, or ladies, I should say, not girls. I got to be proper here.
We take a lot of pictures though. We get a lot
Yeah,
of pictures of
yeah,
spirits too.
yeah. You must have equipment that you take with you. And do you get voice recordings also?
Yes, we do
Oh
get
yeah.
EVP recordings a lot.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I got to get going. I'm so sorry.
Okay, that's
I'm running
okay.
a little behind schedule, but it was nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you, Chastity, and
Is there anything I can answer for you before I jump off here?
no, it's just I just wanted to know what got you into it. You're telling me what happened there. If there's any final things you want to say before you leave your sister.
Nice meeting everybody. And if anybody's looking to make extra money, contact me.
Okay, good.
Other than
And
that, ghosting out.
the name of your company, you've got the letters. You're if you move your head over to the side, you might be able to see the letters of your company. That
What?
CN. Oh, it's ACN.
That's CACN, but you have to contact me in order to get in it, so not
Okay.
them.
All right.
All righty. Well, thank you. It was so nice meeting
Thank you.
you,
Thank you,
and have
Chastity.
fun with the podcast, you guys.
Yeah, and happy ghost hunting. Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
And that $1 million meeting you got. Okay.
Thank you. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay. All right, Mandy, it's just you and I just punching it out now. Now, you girls or you ladies must have fun being sisters when you go out on these, because you can be open with each other. I think that's a good thing too. And when you see something, you can all jump in and say, well, I think it's this, I think it's that. And you're not afraid of any bad repercussions from other people, other researchers. Why is it, I think as it's in your note, why don't you work with guys, with the men?
Well, here's something that a lot of people don't know unless they were following us from the time that we started. They would have seen that we actually used to have guys on the team, but the guys were always behind us. They were never in front of us. So we had the guy who would set up the cameras. He was our camera guy, but we only brought him out in front of the cameras when we needed an extra person to help us, or he would come out and change something for us, fix something. We also had a guy who was on a team that was a researcher, and he would just do all the research for where we were heading to, to investigate. And once in a while we'd bring him out too, because sometimes we would go to these huge locations and we didn't have enough people, enough women. So we would say, all right, guys, we're going to need you guys to come out here. And that went on for like 2 years until everybody just kind of went their own way. And I just said, you know what, I think I'm going to make it an all-female team, because I felt like it was always meant to be an all-female team, because you don't see a lot of female teams out there. I mean, they're out there, but they're far and few. It's mainly guys and one female, or just guys.
Yeah, that's what I've been seeing on TV. It's just like one female and the rest of them are guys. I think you have a mixture. I think like in Bigfoot, they're attracted to women more so than they are guys. Are ghosts,
Really?
yeah, are ghosts more attracted to women than they are guys?
Well, that's an opinion, but you know, this is what I believe, what I know. How you are now is how you're going to be when you're a spirit, if you're still here.
Mhm.
Okay. So if you're someone who's very flirtatious, then you're going to be like that in spirit. So if you have a good looking man out asking you questions and they're investigating, you know, that female is going to come across a little flirty. You know, she can. And the same thing with the male spirit. He sees a group of women and he's like, oh, I'm going to go over here, you know?
Mhm.
So it really just depends, because when we're out there, we get all of it. We get children, we get the men, we get the women. We have come across things that are non-human also.
Could you tell us a little bit about the non-human thing? That's fascinating. I also want to say that people ask me, said, Dave, you don't cover enough ghost, stories. And I said, well, my books were primarily of UFOs, instead I start getting into angels in this third book. And then I got into ghost. And then I've been talking to my scientist friends who are into ETs and UFO research. And I just told you about this Harvard team that had a study on ghost. And their findings and conclusions, they got pictures. And actually this one scientist couldn't show all of them because he's under confidentiality, but he talked about a black round ball that was in a prison cell, and it was just black, and it was undulating, is moving, and they got that on film. And I guess I asked him if that was evil, and he said yes, it probably was, because it was in a prison cell undulating, a big black ball, and they got video of it. That was on that team. And so I start thinking myself, and I see it on TV all the time, Mandy, that like Travel Channel, History Channel, and Science Channel, they all have ghost programs on, and there's a lot of them. Actually, they outnumber the ET shows, like 3-1 actually, and so a lot of people have interest in this. Do you have people approach you, Mandy, about your ghost hunting, or they ask you to come to their house and search out ghosts? Yeah, could you tell
They
us
do.
that? Yeah.
Yes, we do have a lot of people that contact us, and we have had people here in Ohio contact us, but we will not go investigate just your average ghost, hearing someone walking around, or you feel like someone's watching you. It has to be a emergency. You have to be having some serious things going on, because I just don't think that you should worry about someone that you're hearing walking around. If they're not bothering you, leave them alone. Now, if you got something that you don't know what's going on, it's throwing things, it's harming you, you're hearing weird voices, things like that, then contact us, show us evidence too. We like to see pictures, videos if you can. But that's the only way we will come and investigate. It has to be an emergency. You have to be like terrified to be in your home.
I know
think
it would be
it's wise to do
terrifying.
it that way.
Yeah, it'd be terrifying, like you said, to have something in your kitchen throwing things all over the place. Sometimes I see this on TV. I see on Expedition Mystery and all these mystery shows. I see that the paranormal shows where a poltergeist is throwing things in the kitchen, like pots and pans and things coming out of the shelves. Have you ever seen that in real life?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, actually, I have seen things being thrown, things being knocked off. There was actually a case that we did here in Ohio, and this place had some poltergeist activity going on, and it was crazy, the amount of activity going on in this house, the energy you felt when you walked in. The spirits were just angry, and plus the couple that lived there, they had a lot of arguments throughout their time being together. And when you have all this arguing going on, you're manifesting that poltergeist. You're creating that negativity. And this thing was shutting doors, opening cupboards. And they actually sent us a video after we got done investigating this home. This angry poltergeist thing had actually opened up the basement door and then slammed it shut. And But we don't guarantee when we go to these places that, hey, we're going to be able to move them out, because that doesn't work that way. We'll go in and say, if you want us to sage and cleanse your home, we'll do our best. We can't guarantee that it's going to work. It might make them mad. And I think in this case, it really upset whatever was there. And they say you can't run from a poltergeist. The best thing you can do is you have to move if you're dealing with a poltergeist.
And the
They say
poltergeist,
it can't follow you, but you have to move out of your home because it's hard to get rid of them.
really, I've seen that where people are really afraid. In my book, I mentioned, how do you know? And I'll ask you this, Mandy, since you've had the experience out there. How can you, when somebody asks you, do I have a ghost or not? And they might tell you some of the situations. Could you explain to people how they know that there's a ghost in their house?
Well, I'm going to tell you, if you hear a disembodied voice and you're the only one there, and say you don't have your TV on and you're just laying there in your bed trying to sleep, and you hear someone talking, and you're in a house, not an apartment, and you're the only one there. And if you hear someone walking around like someone's there, you hear things opening. I mean, spirits can also, it doesn't just have to be a poltergeist, but spirits can open doors and shut doors. They can do those things if they have enough energy. So if you're experiencing these types of things, then I would say there's something going on, definitely.
Right.
If you just have a feeling like someone's watching you, I mean, that is another thing. It could be that something is watching you, but that's not enough to say that it's spirit. You would have to hear these disembodied voices. You'd have to hear these loud noises and like someone's actually there, but you can't see them.
Yeah, I guess people thinking that somebody's watching them is a common thing that happens. Like, you can be walking on a sidewalk at night and you think, okay, somebody's watching me. It could be just a fear that's coming up in you, that
Fear-based thing.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, and that's what you have to determine when you talk to these people. You will answer to people or go and cleanse the house. Question is, how do you cleanse the ghosts from the house? Do you smoke them out?
Well, and that's the thing. We'll just offer sage, or I will give them a bundle of sage and tell them how to do it. But sometimes they want us to do it. So what I'll do is we'll open some windows up or a door. We'll open all the closets, all the cupboards, all the dresser drawers, everywhere. We'll hit every corner, say a prayer throughout the house, just to calm, the energy down, because there's no guarantee that these spirits are going to go. I mean, that would be like someone trying to tell you had to leave a location. You're not going to go unless you want to. You can lower the energy in these homes, and or sometimes the sage can upset the spirits, because sage does burn the spirits, so they don't like it, but they're just liable to leave for a short time and then come back. So there's no guarantee. At least that's what we tell people. We don't guarantee, but we can try to calm down the energy in your house and cleanse it with the sage. And I will tell them, I recommend them doing it at least 2-3 days a week, if possible.
Plus with prayers, right? Yeah, I guess you take a Bible in and you say prayers. Is that another way you do it? Like exercise?
You can, yes.
Now the three of you, are you Bible based? Three of you, all three Bible based and believe in God and this.
Yes, we're Christians.
Yeah, I think you have to go in and arm yourself with that. I have a buddy who's written, like I said, Larry Wilson. He's written several books on ghosts, and he's had walk-ins that followed him home. I guess they got in him, and when he got home, they made him act. He was always mean and angry all the time until he shook it off. Have you ever seen that or heard about that?
This happens to me a lot, being a medium.
Yeah.
When I'm around certain people, their energy can affect me, and it's like I just change all of a sudden. It's like that energy shifts over to me. I absorb the energy, and it can really affect me. This happens when I go to locations too, and anywhere I go. I can walk into the store and stand next to someone, and this affects my energy, because I'm not just an intuitive medium, I'm an empath too. So I I feel things. I can, the shifting of the energies when I walk into a location.
Yeah, I feel that way too. Being having a lot of experience with ETs, I can actually feel strange energies from certain people. I can
Yeah.
tell if it's bad. I'm not reading their auras. I also, hear that you can read auras and tell if people are good or bad or nice. But I can just sense people. I'm like you. I'm kind of an empath. And after being abducted and being through this ETs, I've gained a talent, a third eye for that. And I can see people that they just don't seem like they're in the right place at the right time. And I know as being a medium and an empath, let's talk about being a medium now. What do you've had some cases. I know you can't talk about names or places that you talked to, but you can tell us the incidents or whatever happened. Could you tell us some of the strange or the most, I guess, exciting, mysterious type of medium that the work that you've done? If you've had these people that you talk to, that some of the most interesting medium readings that you've done.
I'm glad you mentioned this because about a year ago, I actually had this has been one of the most craziest experiences I've ever had in my mediumship. I was giving a lady a reading and we were right at the end of the hour, and all of a sudden, and I mean, I was on point with her all through this reading and she was just shocked. And right at the end of the hour, all of a sudden, because we were on video chat and I could see her, she could see me. I see this guy, and I could see him plain as I see you, walk right behind her. And I thought she lived alone, but I mean, she had small children, but this was a man. And he was wearing a white shirt and I think it was a red hat. And I said to her, I said, I just seen a guy walk behind you who was wearing a white shirt and a red hat. And she just started bawling her eyes out. She said, I'm alone, Mandy. And there was one female there with her that was in the kitchen with her, and they were both sitting at the table. So that was definitely not a female I seen that walked by, it was a man. And she started crying, freaking out because her husband was wearing, before he was cremated, he wore a white shirt and a red hat. And nobody knew that because they never posted it on social media. And she was really freaking out. But I seen him walk right by her and she was freaked out by it. So the next day I'm sleeping, 6 o'clock in the morning, my messenger is ringing. I'm getting a phone call on Messenger and I'm like, my husband's like, who's calling you this early in the morning? I'm like, I looked and it was the lady that I had given a reading to. And I'm like, why is she calling me? I'm like, oh, I'll just call her when I get up. 6 times, I swear, this phone rang. And when I got up in the morning, I messaged her and I said, hey, I said, is everything all right? I'm like, you called me like 6 times, early. And she goes, Mandy, she goes, I never called you. I've been at work since 6 o'clock. My phone has been in my locker. And I said, oh boy, I know who's calling me. It's your husband. And I kid you not, he was calling my phone, wanting me to keep talking for him. And it just got crazy. We ended up going over there doing an investigation at her house, and he was coming through our devices. He said his name clear. He wasn't crossed over. He was trapped here because they had a fight a couple of days before he had passed away. So,
You talk about crossing over. Now that's a debate with a lot of people. Do people get hung up in purgatory if they have something unresolved? They want to stay here and resolve it. It sounds like that's what you're talking about. This man here, Mandy.
I think they do. I think they get stuck here and like the spirit world. I want to say it's another dimension in the spirit world. It's like they have 1 foot in the spirit world and then 1 foot over here. So they come and go. And I believe he was doing this because she woke up that same morning when I was getting that phone call. She said, I got up early in the morning to go to work. Mandy, I heard my husband crying. And she said she went downstairs and all her cupboard doors were open.
Oh boy.
So it just went on from there. And
Was he angry, or was he trying to make up to her?
he was sad because what had happened, they had got into it 3 days prior to him passing away. She had actually, they had separated. She had told him to get out, and here this happened to him. So this was totally unresolved. He had unfinished business. He didn't get closure.
Right. Doesn't
And
matter how a person dies, how they go across. Do they, if they have a traumatic injury and they die quickly, do they stay here and try to take care of unresolved issues, or when they die slowly and they have loved ones around them and they pass, slowly into the dimensional barriers? What?
I think some of them do.
Yeah.
That happens, and I think some of them see their loved ones and they don't want to go.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm not going yet.
Yeah.
And then there's the ones that see their loved ones and they know what's going on, they go. But then there's the ones who just either have the unfinished business or they don't want to go. And also, I believe in the spiritual world too, when you pass away, 10 years to spirit is like 10 minutes, to them.
Right.
So the timing is definitely, it's different,
And
20
also,
years,
yeah,
it's like 20 minutes to them.
yeah. I also hear about a lot of ghost investigators. They'll tell the apparition or the ghost, they'll say, go to the light. They're wanting to send them across. Why wouldn't they know about the light, a person who passes? Why wouldn't they know?
I mean, there's really no way to explain. My spirit guides don't always show me these things. I have a lot still, because I'm a natural medium. No one's, I just do this, on my own here, but I get all kinds of messages from spirit. But I just think that people are afraid because depending on how they live their life, they're afraid, like being judged. I really believe that. They're afraid.
A lot of people living in fear now. I think they don't know what's going to happen to this world. But this thing that you're doing with the ghost equipment now, you do have a lot of things on film.
Oh yeah. Yes.
What is the most unusual thing to talk? I want you to talk about the most unusual thing that you captured on film or on picture.
Okay. Well, there's actually two things. We actually did capture the shadow figure, the guard walking at the prison, but we were at a school in Middle Point School. It was Middletown here in Ohio. And this was a school that was very active. And we had a camera set up in this one room called the dark room. I call it the creepy crawler room because it's so dark and there ain't no window, no lighting. It's all black. We had a camera set up in there, and me and the researcher that used to be on my team was in this room, and we weren't getting anything, but I could feel spirit was around, but we just weren't getting nothing from them. So we go to walk out of the room, and he's in front of me and I'm walking behind him. All of a sudden I felt something rush up on me. And I said, oh my gosh, I said, something just rushed up on me. And at the same time I said that, on the walkie-talkie, my niece was watching our camera that we had set up. And she's telling me that they captured something followed me out of the room. So it just gave verification what I was already feeling and what I had already said. And we captured this black mass coming up out of the ground. And you see it gets big and then it darts out really fast.
Oh, does black mass mean evil? Would you think?
I think in this case, this is something that was very negative. There has been a lot of homicides there on this property. Lots of bad stuff in this area where the school is, and so many homicides around here, and all of it just festering in this building. So it definitely has some dark things going on. Or it could have been something that didn't have enough energy to manifest, but it looked like a blob. It looked like a black blob that just got big and then it just darts out of the room really fast.
That's what that one scientist was telling me they got on film. Now, they also say kids can attract. I know you're an empath and a medium and you can attract, you're kind of a receiver, but they say little kids can actually be found playing with somebody that's not even there. Have you had?
My grandchildren do this. Well, I haven't, because my daughter's also, she's a psychic medium, and the grandchildren, they're twins, they're girls, and my daughter will tell me that the children will look up into the corner and start laughing and giggling, and they'll say, "Papa, Papa." So they've never met my father.
No.
My father's been gone way before they were born. So I honestly, I believe they do see things. I think my grandbabies might get the gift,
What
but I think they
do
are
you-
sensitive
do-
children.
I guess you're around your grandkids. Can you pick up anything like you're being a medium and you can pick up these things from your grandbabies?
I do sense things with them. I'm like, with both of them, not just one either. I feel that they're going to just, maybe they'll be just empaths, or they might even have the ability to see them. I do feel this with them.
What advice
I will tell.
what advice do you give to people that have kids and they're concerned about their kids talking to some invisible person? What advice could you give them?
I will say this: everyone has the gift, and when you're young and you're a child and you're telling your parents that you're seeing these things, seeing someone, and you're talking to them, and when you tell the child that it's just their imagination, and over time you keep telling that child that, then that gift just fades away. So if you're someone who supports your child and like, okay, this is interesting, and just, just kind of listen to them, watch what they're doing, watch the reactions that they're giving. I'm not saying feed into it and make it worse than what it could be, but just kind of just acknowledge what they're saying to you and what they're experiencing, because you don't know, that child could be really experiencing something. But if you constantly tell a child they're not, it's imaginary, it's just imaginary friend, they will shut that down over time. And that's what happens to a lot of people. People shut it down over time.
Mhm. I guess you were raised up where your mother and father, did you see things when you were younger? Like you said, you had a spiritual, a ghostly thing happening to you when you were younger.
I
Did,
had
did
a lot of stuff happen when I was younger.
Okay, did you see these invisible guests like we're talking about?
I can't remember at 9 and 10 or 11 if I did. I would hear them, and I have felt something crawl in my bed before.
Hmm.
I have experienced that. I would hear disembodied voices. I would see like different colored orbs. I didn't know this at the time they were orbs, but I remember just seeing these different colors all around me. And I know that sounds crazy, but I did. I seen it a lot. And I think it was spirit, or it was just different forms of spirit, the colors representing what type of energy, what type of spirit that would have been. Red for angry, there's different meanings to all these colors.
Right.
But I was seeing different colors that would just be all around me. But my experiences got worse as I got older. And they would actually communicate with me through electronics. I'm trying to get a story published. I wrote in my notes everything that happened to me, all my stories, experiences, everything that I could remember, and I just haven't gotten published yet.
Yeah, so that's what I did when I wrote my first book about a year and a half ago. I had a scientific ledger. I made notes of what happened, when it happened, and I went from that ledger. Is that where you're at with your book, or you're in the notes area?
I am. I wrote in my notes everything that I can remember from when I was young, every place I lived in, every experience that I can recall having, because it was like all these places, everywhere I've ever lived, I had something going on. It drove my family nuts because they did not know what to think.
Mhm.
But there was some supernatural things going on.
Well, when it comes to writing books, I started late in life, and I never did. I knew I was going to do radio off and on because that's what I was trained for in college, but I never thought I would be an author or writer until about a year and a half ago. And I'm an old geezer, so and when you start writing a book, you really have to apply yourself and set aside that 3 hours or so every 5 nights, maybe a week, and take a break on the weekend or something. But you just write when you can or when you feel like writing, and you can get it done. And I kind of first time book writer like you're wanting to be. I'd like to see those stories. I like to have you put those out there. I mean, that's the that's the great thing about being an author. You're putting your
I've
stories
got
out there.
'em.
Yeah, and I'm sure that people would be interested. The other thing too, I see on TV a lot, and I've been with my friends on ghost hunts, and I always tell them, I say, okay, you're not going to see a ghost with me with you. For some reason, ghosts don't come to me. Are there certain people who repel ghosts?
I can't speak of what other people claim they see or whatever the case is. For me, how it works, if they want me to see them, I will see them with my eyes. If they want me to see them in my third eye, then I will see it like a movie in my third eye. But there is cases where they want me to see them. Like when I was giving the lady the reading, her husband walked right by. I mean, that does not happen like that to me often.
What about I see on TV a lot since I haven't been on a lot of ghost hunts, whatever, but I know people who are involved in it. You see sometimes people get scratched on their backs or on their arms. Is that evil, or is that Mandy? Is that evil stuff?
It is not always that case because sometimes it could be some spirit trying to get your attention. They could even nudge you, maybe give you a little push. Just because they scratch you doesn't always mean that's the case. Now, if you are at a place where people were doing really bad dark witchcraft or whatever the case is, conjuring up these evil things, and that's all this place was just manifesting evil, and then you get a scratch or something, then I would say most likely that could be something that is very maybe demonic. But you got to think, if you're dealing with a child that has a disability, and we have been around investigated places that had children who had a disability, and that's what they would do. They would pinch, they would scratch, to get your attention.
What about people feel cold spots? Have you ever felt really cold? Is that drawing energy from you, and they're taking your energy, Mandy, and they're needing that energy to, I guess, to come alive or become physical?
They do need a lot of energy to be able to do a lot of the things they do. You do get a lot of cold spots out there, but that's another thing. You have to be able to debunk. If you are in an area, say if it's wintertime, that's a little harder to do. Unless you're actually say you're in an area that has like the heat running or something, and all of a sudden the temperature just drops, it gets cold for no reason. That might be, you want to check out everything. You want to try to debunk where this draft could be coming from, because a lot of times we're out there and you will get this ice cold breeze that will just come all around you. But then you got to think, okay, doesn't mean right away it's spirit. Could it be? Yes, but you need to try to say, okay, is there a draft somewhere? Is there a door open? Is there a hole here, window? You want to make sure that you're taking them steps. So that way, people will think you're just jumping to conclusions too fast to think it's paranormal. So you want to debunk if you can.
As a medium, I want to ask you a question. I've been through quite a bit, and I could probably talk to you about this and ask you questions about what you see and what you read. I've seen The Lady in White twice, once in 1971 and once in 1998 or 99, I believe. And she was at the foot of my bed, and I've got this in my angel book. And I woke up 3 o'clock in the morning, bewitching hour. I guess you probably found that true too, anywhere from 3 to 6 or whatever. But I woke up, it woke me up. I felt something there, and I looked up, and there was this. It looked like a lady in a white robe with a veil on, and it was standing there looking at me for about 5 seconds or so, and then it turned and walked away real slow. And I followed it, and I went into a bathroom one time, and then I went into my mom's bedroom. I stayed there after I was in the military for a little bit, and I asked my mom, said, "Did you see something? Because it come right in your room." And then in 99, I think both times there was some trauma in my life. I just come back from the war. And so a little bit of trauma, trying to get used to the civilian life. And then in 99, I had a divorce, and you go through changes. It seems like they come when you need them. Who is the lady in white, Mandy? Do you know?
I just think it's just some people that have seen this lady. She's always in white. I just think it might just be what spirit was wearing at that time, or maybe it's just the color that is being seen at that time. You're just seeing the white. That's her light, like her aura, you know. I've actually seen the lady in white in my house.
Really? Tell us
Yeah.
about that. Tell us about that. Yeah.
Well, when we bought this house, we didn't know all the stuff that would be going on in this house. This house is very active. The people we bought the home from, she found out that I was in the paranormal, and she started telling me these experiences. And then she went on to tell me that her grandmother passed away in this very room that I'm in right now. And you do get a lot of now lights flickering doesn't mean that is spirit. It could be a bad bulb, but it does happen a lot. And even after changing the bulb, my lights will still dimmer up and down in here. But one evening I was in my bedroom making my bed, and I was home alone, and I was actually on the phone talking to my friend, and out of the corner of my eye, I see this white thing like cross through this room here and then went into my other room. And I was like, it just blew my mind. I was like, oh my gosh, because I've never seen the spirits in this house. I've heard them, they've talked to me, and you hear a lot of talking in this house, you know, when especially when no one's here.
Right.
And never seen a spirit in this house before, but my daughter has. She's seen them all over in this house. But my husband, who's a skeptic, actually witnessed seeing the lady in white. She has long hair, and she was all in white, and she was standing there watching my husband. And she was staring at him, and he was like, he thought it was my daughter, but my daughter was in bed. She had school, and he thought she was trying to scare him, but no, he's like, Mandy, he's like, I've seen this thing. He goes, I can't explain it. He still doesn't want to believe, you know, that he's seen it. But I told him, I said, I seen her too. I seen her cross from here to the other room.
Mm. And when two of you see the lady in white, that you know, I saw it myself, and I couldn't. It went in my mom's room, but she didn't see it. I just think could she possibly be an angel, Mandy, or
I mean, it could be. It could be one of the angels that's around you. It could be one of your spirit guides. It could be one of your family members coming back, you know, as a younger, you know, a younger soul.
you know, I've had people ask me, who can be a spirit guide? Well, a spirit guide could be your pet, an animal. It could be your relative. It could be a friend, or it could be, and here's something that's going to jump out there, but it could be somebody from another planet that's got a spiritual life, and they come into this realm, you know, through the dimensions. So yeah, and like you said a while ago, 10 minutes, it's only like 10 years is like 10 minutes to them in another dimension.
Yes.
I want you to tell me, what do you believe? I've asked a lot of scientists this question. What's the difference between angel, ghost, poltergeist, dimensional entity? What are the differences between them? Some scientists say nothing, but then I had one scientist last week tell me, well, an ET is a lot different than the rest of them. You know, the others might come through dimensional barriers. What do you think? Do they come through a portal or a dimension? Like, do ghosts have to come through a portal to get to a haunted house?
Well, I think if they're not already there, and the ones that are traveling might be coming through these portals, there might be some type of door that's open for them. Because being out in the field, I've actually had them say to me that they're traveling.
Oh,
Travel.
okay. So you've been scared by poltergeist, and you've had some incidents in your life. And what's your next move? What are you going to do now? What's going to be the Ghost Sisters? What's their next duty assignment?
Oh, we have a lot coming up. We're about to be really busy. So
Yeah.
actually, this weekend I will be in Kentucky at the Ross Theater with 2 other paranormal teams. Memphis Ghost Hunters and Fearful Encounters. We will be joining up. We're going to be recording. We got a big project we're working on, so I can't say too much about that. So it's a huge theater. I've never been here before. And after that, the next weekend, the last weekend of July, us girls are heading to Massachusetts to be with another celebrity female investigator, but I can't say her name. And we're not going to a Paracon. We're actually going to hang out with her. She is a fan of us, and we are a fan of her.
Oh, great. So you have some TV in your future again, right? That's good. But
well, yeah, I think so. Maybe.
It seems like you'd have a lot of fun out there too, the three sisters, and you can goof around with each other. No, we've done that.
We're going to be collaborating too. In August, we are going to upstate New York to help another team investigate a hospital, and we're collaborating with Paranormal Reality TV. And this is going to be very interesting. They reached out to us and they want to collaborate. So they're going to come to us. They're coming to Ohio, and we are going to the Branilla Cottage in Bucyrus, Ohio. We are going to be investigating for 2 nights there. And then I'm taking these guys to Tennessee to the Ura Shrine. So it'll be another 2 nights there. Yeah. And these 2 guys are, they've been around for a long time. Brett Griffith was on Ghost Hunters for 10 years. He's really awesome guy. And these 2 guys, JV and Brett, got a lot going on, and they're really cool. So I'm looking forward to getting to know them more and collaborating with them more. So
yeah, it sounds like to me you guys are going to really be busy, and it's really nice to see that you're getting involved in this to where you're attracting a lot of attention, not only from people but from celebrities and that thing. You be on TV with these people and know these people, and congratulations for that. That's some good work. And I'll be sure to put the word out. I'll put this video out for you girls, you ladies. I mean, I keep saying girls. That's my age. That's my age.
It's all good.
Okay, but it's the sisters are Mandy and Chastity. And I got a picture here of the 3 of you. I guess I can hold that up here.
And Bobby Joe. Yep, Bobby Joe's the youngest one right there. Okay. So she's the one kneeling down.
Okay. I just wanted to show the picture of you. And you got Bobby Joe and Chastity, and then you're the lead investigator. Okay. You're the boss lady then, right?
Yep.
Okay. Let me know what's coming up in the future. Send me a message, and I'll put it out on the show and tell people to keep track of what you're doing. But actually, they can keep track of you on Facebook, and that's where I keep track of you. I watch a lot of the things that you guys do, and that's why I was interested in talking to you. You got a great thing going on, Ghost Sisters. Thank you so much, Mandy and Chastity, for being on the show. So thank you so much for being here. This is Dave Emmons, and this is the show that's called Strange Reality, and I guess ghost are really into that category. And I promise I will have more ghost shows on in the future. Thank you very much, everybody. May God bless.
Thank you, Dave.